Do you use your ears to determine which notes sound good to land on and which are best used as just passing notes? Is there a theoretical formula? Okay, this is an age-old question. I've seen somebody post this just recently on one of the Facebook groups. I'm going to say this as kind as possible, and Jeremy, you're not, this isn't about you, but sometimes I will come across people that say, why do you learn theory and why do you learn scales? It's all by ear, and you don't have to learn any theory. You just play by feel and blah, blah, blah. And I thought about that because I get these responses all the time. Feel is an element. Feel isn't a note. Feel is something that comes from within us. There still has to be something that makes logical sense for the situation that we're playing in. Whether or not we can verbalize the terms like Dorian or Mixolydian or something like that, we don't necessarily have to do that, okay? The terminology is something that helps us when we're sitting together and we're discussing something as musicians, right? So I say to you, you're in my band and I'm writing something, and I say to you, hey, could you throw a Mixolydian, solo over the top of this? You'd be able to understand what it is I'm trying to verbalize to you. But that doesn't mean that everybody has to have that terminology. But to say that you don't need to know any scales, you just go by ear and you just play whatever you feel, that's not true at all. That would be like the stranded on a desert island, theory, where you find an instrument and it's not called guitar, and all of a sudden you just start. And here's what I would say to you to kind of reference what I'm saying. If you took and recorded a jam track of just one chord, like A, and then you tried to solo over the top, not doing anything right, not playing a scale, not playing pentatonic, not playing diatonic, not, completely random, what happens is it doesn't make any sense. So what logic does is it gives us elements that make sense, and then we decide what we want to do from there. Okay, if that kind of makes sense. So when people say, well, there's more feel in one note than 1,000 notes, and all you have to do is play with feel. For me, that's always been a cop-out, because all that's saying is I don't want to learn anymore. I'm just going to defend where I'm at in my playing. Now, don't get me wrong. Again, I always use the example of B.B. King, for instance. B.B. King, for me, is one of my favorite guitar players. And his knowledge was minimal compared to someone like Andre Segovia or Steve Vai or Frank Zappa, for that matter, or whatever. But that doesn't make him any less of a player. But it also doesn't mean that he doesn't know anything. B.B. King knows a lot of things, but he decided that he didn't need to know everything. He just needed to know what he needed to know. So whether or not he knew all the terms, no. Okay, and this gets back to what Jeremy was just asking. So I can go a little deeper in that, so that makes sense to you. Do you use your ears to determine which notes sound good to land on? Yes, but I also already know that there are certain notes that are going to make more sense with the chord that I'm playing over, right? If I'm playing over an A chord, I know that the root, the third, and the fifth, and the seventh, certainly in blues, are going to make more sense to be my emphasis pitches, right? But that doesn't mean I can't do other things. I certainly can. So when we talk about, like, for instance, Jeremy, when you say, and which notes are best used as passing notes are really anything that aren't the root, the third, the fifth, or in this case, in blues, the seventh. Okay, so when I do this, let's say I do this. And I'm really focusing on this 5, 6, and 7 stuff here. Okay, my chord is right here. So this is my best note to emphasize because it's part of the chord. This note, the 5, makes no sense with that A major chord, but because of blues, we can sell that 5 as a cool sound, even though it doesn't make any sense at all. That's the theory of rock and roll in my mind. And the 7 makes more of a sus. It technically creates what we call a sus chord. The 7 would be less important to me of a note that I would try and emphasize. Okay, but the most important thing going on here, Jeremy, is that when I first started learning all of this, I wasn't thinking about any of those things. I was just playing, stuff that I'd memorized and, whatever it might be, or something that somebody had showed me or whatever. And I started realizing that there were certain notes like A over A, right? It's an A chord, so you land on A. So you've got a target note, a note that you can go to. And then everything else sort of starts becoming, if we want to call it passing, there are other notes that I'm playing, but I'm always directing myself to this A. Then you might get a third, right? Now you can direct yourself to that third. So all of a sudden, these notes become a little more important. They shine a little bit more, and all the other ones are in the background. Okay. Now they're not necessarily called passing notes, but that's what we're doing, though, Jeremy. So you're absolutely right. Okay. So it's just a process. It's not like in real time I'm grabbing my guitar and I'm playing it upside down like this. And again, I'm not talking about Michelangelo, right? He does this, but he's practiced it a million times. I'm saying I grab it and I retune it because something that completely doesn't make any sense, and then I improvise in front of 1,000 people. I wouldn't do that, right? I've got my setup in my brain that I'm going to go to, and I'm going to step outside there a little bit, which is what I'm trying to show you guys today. But it takes a little bit of time. So hopefully that kind of makes sense to you guys. Okay. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. Listen, if you're ready to take your guitar playing to the next level, then I'd like to invite you to go to guitarzoom.com and sign up for a VIP membership, which gives you first access to my premium lessons each month, which are customized for your specific goals and skill level. Now, it's an awesome community of guitar players that love to play, have fun, and support each other's goals, and we'd love to have you join us. So go to guitarzoom.com and sign up for VIP today.